Okay, brilliant. Right. So basically, in this particular video, I want to go through um, how your ads. So we're back to Facebook now. Okay, so we're talking about Facebook ads, and I want to cover off how your ads are going to naturally perform. Okay, so if you just leave them to their devices, you just launch a bunch of ads, right? How they're naturally going to perform, and why that's hurting your e-commerce business overall. Okay, so I'm going to go into logic. I'm going to show you some actual like diagrams to show how they're going to naturally perform, and hopefully that alone will give you a sort of aha moment where you go, oh, of course, that makes a lot of sense, right? And I thought ads weren't working for me, or I can see the problem now. I can see why they're going wrong, right? And then I'm going to jump in and show you some TrustAds rules. You can absolutely try and replicate these manually or through other ways, but I'm going to show you the exact rules that we use and how you can like use them yourself to protect against the naturally dangerous way that your ads are going to work. And then a bonus for tuning in, which disclaimer is actually the book, right? Which we've already talked about, okay? But we're all friends here, so I'm just going to jump to that as well, right? I don't want to make any sort of massive promise that you're going to, that I'm going to give away a Ferrari at the end of this. I'm just going to give you a lot of value and then remind you that actually you can pick up a copy of my book at any point, not just during this presentation, and you can get it for like $7 or something, and it's a 300-page book that is full of like my best work. Like genuinely my very best has gone into this book. Anyway, right. So here's a typical ad scenario. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize my screen here. Cool. Right, here is a typical ad scenario. Okay, so in this scenario, what we've done is we've launched 3 ads. Now, in reality, you've probably launched more like 30 ads or 300 ads, but it doesn't matter because this 3 ad scenario will illustrate the problem here. Right, it'll illustrate really the challenge that we all have as advertisers, and then we're going to go into how to solve it. Right, so. Advert 1's fantastic. Okay, we've launched it. It's been running a little while. And we've spent $100 and we've made $200 for revenue from that. Okay, so we've made $100 profit. Okay, so the revenue minus the spend, $100 profit. Fantastic. If all our ads were like that, we'd be on a desert island. We'd be, drinking margaritas and just, living life generally. But unfortunately, we've got advert 2 and advert 3, and advert 2 has spent $100, but it's only made $50 in return. Okay, so maybe we got one sale from $100, one $50 sale or something. So it means that in terms of just advert 2 in isolation, we've lost $50. All right, and then we've got advert 3, which sucks even worse because we've spent $100 on that as well, but we didn't make any sales, and therefore we lost $100. Okay, and so many people will look at their ad account as a whole and they'll go, damn, I've lost money. Ads don't work. Ads suck. So on, so on, so on, so on, right? Because overall, here, they've spent $300. You've spent $300, but you've only made a return of $250 overall, meaning you've lost $50 overall. And really what we want to be doing is this, okay? We want to be getting rid of advert 2 and getting rid of advert 3, right, as automatically and as quickly as possible, so that we've only got advert 1, right? And it doesn't matter that the revenue's lower, because we don't care so much about revenue, we care about profit. Profit is the thing that, keeps the lights on and keeps food on the table and so on, right? And so if we get rid of advert 2 and advert 3, the end result is we've got $100 profit. We're in the green. We've actually got a business, that we've got something to work with here, all right? So, in reality, as I said, you're not just launching 3 ads. If you only have 3 ads running, you're not maximizing your chances of winning, right? You need lots and lots of ads, lots and lots of chances. But when you start launching more ads, it kind of compounds the problem where, you've got that 1 in 3 ads that actually do well and 2 in 3 that don't do well. Well, now we've got 15 ads running here and it's slightly better. We've got 4 good ads out of 15. But if you've got all of those bad ads running away, like those bad unprofitable ads, right, and you can see here we've got a loss of $50, a loss of $50, a loss of $50, and so on, right? The end result is we lose a lot of money. And so what we're going to do, right? And this problem, and the way we're going to solve it is we're going to do this, okay? We're going to automatically detect and pause those bad ads, right? So that we're only left with the good ads. And whereas on the previous screen, it was one good ad, $100 profit, fantastic. Now we've got 4 great ads, $400 profit, fantastic, okay? And that's what we want to do. And we want to be doing this, whether it's manual or whether you decide to invest in my software, whatever, right? This is the approach, this is the mindset that you need to have, okay? If you're training a staff member to do it, fantastic, okay? I don't really care how you do it. Of course, I'd like you to get my software because my software is great, but the way you should be looking at it is not as your ad account overall, but delving into your different ads that are running, or your different ad sets that are running, and really trying to find those good ones and get rid of those bad ones as quickly as possible. Because when we can identify those good ones that are making us money, right, we can get to this point where we can scale, okay? We can duplicate those good ads over and over and over, and we begin to create a system, a conveyor belt system, whereby we're launching a lot of ads, we're pausing the bad ads, like here, okay, so we launch lots of ads, we quickly pause the bad ads before they've really spent any money, we've identified the good ads, and then we duplicate them like this, like 10 times, okay? And so in this case, we've duplicated our good ads, okay, and we keep duplicating so that we've only got good ads and we're pausing our bad ads. And so our total spend in this scenario is now we're at $1,000 spend, $2,000 revenue, leaving a total profit of $1,000. Okay, we're getting much, much closer to that desert island, drinking margarita money now, because what we're doing is we're scaling a system that is built on logic with safety and protection built into it, okay? And so really the only thing to remember, okay, and I actually advise like screenshotting this, printing it out, putting it on your wall, because the only thing to really remember, and I'm going to say it as if you're saying it, right? If you can automatically detect and pause your bad, unprofitable ads, those red ads that I showed you, and you can do that quickly, then your remaining good ads will ensure you win more profit over and over and over. Okay, so if you can automatically detect and pause those bad, unprofitable ads quickly, your remaining good ads, that's your profit, right? Your good ads, okay? So let's jump in and I'll show you how we're actually going to do this, okay? How we're going to do this automatically. And again, it's up to you if you want to do it automatically, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually do this automatically and how much money and time and energy and effort and what have you can save by doing it that way. So I'm going to log into TrustAds and I'm going to show you the exact rules for this, okay? And what we've got is we've got these rules actually, there's 5 rules, okay? So I spent probably 2 weeks solid just really delving into this process and going, right, what's the absolute minimum number of rules we need to make this work and to make this bulletproof, okay? And what we did was we came up with these 5 different rules and we added them into our rule library, okay? So we've got, here, we've got a rule library, which is basically our very best rules that we've come up with that you can add to your TrustAds account with like one click, okay? And so I've created this this rule library called the Ecommerce Quick Start Rules, okay? So the obviously the best scenario for these is if you're running some kind of e-commerce business, but the theory behind it can be applied to other kind of businesses. As long as you've got a pixel set up on your store, you're good to go, all right? So there's 5 different rules here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these rules up one by one and walk through them with you, if that's cool. Is everyone following along? So I put a Y in the chat box if you're following along, if you're getting this, if you're seeing what's going on here and actually potentially learning like where the perhaps not where you've been going wrong, but like where you could have been doing much better, right? If you'd had this in place. All right, so we've got this one, we've got this one, we've got this one, we got this one. In case you're wondering why these are paused, this is because these are e-commerce rules on my TrustAds ad account, okay? Which obviously our TrustAds ad account sends traffic to TrustAds, not to an e-commerce store. So this would very much mess things up for us. Right. So we've got, just want to do this in a logical order. So we've got an early warning, duplicate. Right, so I'm going to bring these over here and work this through. Sorry, normally I would come prepared and actually have this set up, but obviously we were expecting a different presentation earlier on. So, right, okay. So here is a typical rule page, all right? So normally you would have to set this up like manually. It doesn't take a long time, but you would have to do it manually, okay? But we've done this for you. I've done this for you, right? So I'm going to walk you through this. So remember in the presentation, we were talking about we want to detect those bad ads, right? Very early on and pause them, okay? Because there's no point in letting a bad ad run on and spend $50 and just bringing you back nothing, okay? Because those $50 add up, and the end result is you're unprofitable overall because they completely wipe out and override any good that your good ads actually did, right? So this rule is really, really simple, and every single rule I've written down here, like the logic behind it, okay, the reasoning behind it. And so what this rule is going to do is it's going to look at, in this case, every ad set that you've got going on, right? Whether it's brand new, whether it's brand new or onwards, and it's going to say, right, if an ad set on your ad account has spent at least 150, okay, and it depends what currency your ad account's in. This one's in Great British pounds, but if it's dollars, you know, $1.50, right? 150, so $1.50, right? And it's had no clicks yet, okay? And what I mean is like an outbound click. So you've got pretty much every ad that you've got running. The goal of it is ultimately, or not ultimately, but first is to just get a click so that people are leaving Facebook and going to your website, okay? So if it hasn't got any of those clicks, and this line here is if and if it's not an ad that you don't want to run this rule on, okay? So if you've got any ad sets that maybe they're branding ads, right? So you're just trying to put your name out there, or you're showing, you know, cool videos just to, you know, to warm up an audience or something. You can just put in whatever you want, whatever you've got written here. You can just say TA-ignore and just put that in your ad set name, and TrustAds won't even look at it, right? It will ignore it. So that's the way you can exclude certain things. But essentially, it's very, very simple. It's just saying if it's spent $1.50, right, and it hasn't got any clicks yet, pause it, okay? So the overall, the biggest risk of the most you're risking here is $1.50. That's it, okay? Because if an ad set hasn't got a click within $1.50, and you can tweak that if for your store it's more like $1, or if it's more like $2 or $3, you can play with that number according to your preferences. But ultimately, it's saying if it hasn't got a click within a certain minimum amount of time, we're just going to pause it, right? We'll just launch more ads and have a better chance with those, rather than hoping this ad suddenly goes from expensive to being cheaper. Okay, and so that's the very first rule. So we've got 5 rules, right, which you can add all of them just with like one click each into your ad account. This is the very first one in the user journey. You know, you're launching your ads, and we're saying in the user journey, okay, right, $1.50 is all I'm prepared to spend, and if I haven't got a click in them, I'm not interested. I'm going to pause it. I don't want to just give money away to Mark Zuckerberg. All right. Next up, we've got our second early warning rule, right? So 2 out of 5. Okay. So here we're saying, right, if our purchases is equal to 0 and we've spent 8. Okay. So again, it's either $8 or £8 or whatever currency you're working with. Okay. And again, we've got this tag. We're saying certain ad sets we don't want to look at for this. But we're saying generally, right, whatever your profit margin, like your typical profit margin on your product, so whatever your average order value minus your cost to fulfill the item is, that's the number here, okay? So I went with 8. You can tweak that according to your store. Whatever your typical profit margin is on one item, you put that in there. And now we're saying, right, if any ad... All right, it was getting the clicks for less than 150, otherwise it would have been paused already. But now I'm interested in purchases, because purchases is where I'm getting my money from. So I'm saying, right, if I've now spent $8 on an ad set, but it hasn't got me a purchase yet, I want to pause it, okay? And don't forget, a lot of the time, your ad will, it's running through the night, it's running when you're sleeping, it's running when you're out living life and enjoying yourself. Very often there's just a cruel life's way of all of the spend, all of the bad stuff happens when you've got your back turned, right? When you're not actually paying attention. It doesn't happen when you're actually monitoring and alert and stuff, okay? But this protects you because it's just running all the time. And so here we're just saying, very, very simply, we're saying, right, if we've spent $8, at least $8, but we haven't got any purchases, we're not interested, we want to pause that ad as well, right? So we're covering ourselves there, okay? So it started off really well, and we've got clicks from it. We know we've got clicks from it, so we've got retargeting ads to pick up those people and hopefully turn those into purchases and so on. But this is, we're being very cool and collected. We're being unemotional here. We're just setting hard and fast rules to protect our money. All right. So then we get on to, I'm going to close that window, and we get on to ongoing. Okay. I think ongoing is the next good one. Yeah. So we've got ongoing. All right. So now we're looking at looking at our ad sets that have been running for a while. Okay. So because we've got those early warning protection rules in place, we know that the remaining ad sets that are actually on our ad account are good ad sets that are making us money. But we do know that even good ad sets, they will be good for a while and then they'll gradually decline over time, okay? Because Facebook wants relevant, new content, fresh content. They've already shown your ad to a lot of people. They're running out of people to show it to, so your ads get a bit more expensive and get less, the performance drops, okay? It's a natural cycle of an ad, and that's why we should always be launching new ads. So what this rule's doing is it's looking at your ads that have been running for a while, they've already been getting purchases, and it's looking for that point where it suddenly becomes not a great ad anymore, okay? And so it's saying if the return on ad spend is less than 2.5, right? But it's spent more than $8, okay, pause it, right? So this is another protection rule, just to make sure that even if an ad set's been making you lots and lots of money over time, but then it declines, and we give it like 3 days to maybe recover, but if it doesn't recover, we're going to pause it, and we're going to say, thank you, ad, for making me so much money, but clearly you've stopped making me money now, so I don't want you to now start costing me money and undoing your hard work, so I'm going to pause you. All right, and so that's rule number 3. Then we get on to the good stuff, right? Now we're talking desert island money rules, right? So what we've got here is we've got rules for scaling. Okay, now remember in my presentation, this slide, right, where we're taking one ad, right? We've identified because we our remaining good ads once we've paused all of our bad ones, and now we want to take those ads that are making us money and we want to duplicate them. And here I've said 10 times, right? This is the rule that we're going to do it with. So here what we're saying is if in the last 3 days our ad set has made at least 2 purchases with a return on ad spend of 3 or better. So that means for every $1 that I've spent, I've got at least $3 back in return, right? So if we've made at least $3 for every $1 spent, okay, and it's not a fluke because it's 2 purchases or more rather than like a fluke. Like check this out, I had this earlier on, like a fluke like this, okay? So it's only 1 purchase here. It only cost me 11 pence. I've got a return on ad spend of 1,419. Okay, now clearly this will level out eventually. I probably won't get any more purchases for like, another £20 spend or something, and this will become more reasonable. And so we guarantee that it's an accurate return on ad spend by saying it's at least 2 purchases, right? So what we're saying is at least 2 purchases, a return on ad spend of 3 or better. Again, you can tweak that for your store if you want more than 3 or less than 3. We've got a return on ad spend calculator here as well, so you can figure out, if you don't know what a good return on ad spend is for you, what you need to secure a 20 or a 30 or a 40% profit margin or whatever you need in your business. We've got a return on ad spend calculator here, so you can figure out what your number is. But what we're saying basically is if we've got an ad set that's really kicking butt, it's doing great, right, and it's giving us a return on ad spend of at least 3, right, we want to duplicate it. And like on that slide here, right, where we're duplicating 10 times, that's how I've got this rule set up by default. We're saying if it's got that great return on ad spend, duplicate it 10 times, right? And every 2 days. So if it's still doing really well 2 days later, I want to duplicate it another 10 times, because all of those duplicate ads are created automatically, but then they're protected by those early warning ads that we've just covered. Those last 3 rules that we created, right, that we just walked through, all of those new ads are protected by them already. So it's fantastic. So we can just keep churning them out, and you don't have to limit yourself to 10 times. You can do it up to 100 times with TrustAds, right? So 10 times is plenty, right? If you're spending $5 a day on an ad set and you've duplicated it 10 times, you're now spending $50 extra per day, which is great if that is, like here, returning you $3 for every dollar spent. You've gone from spending $5 a day to make 15 to spending $50 a day to make 150, okay? And you're protected by those early warning rules. And so this is how we begin to spend more money profitably. All right, and so this is great. This is the scaling rule out of the group. So this is rule number 4. And then rule number 5, this is a great rule, right, which I see missed, and this is such a fantastic rule. This basically protects you in a scenario whereby, say someone's come to your store, right? They've seen your ad, right? Steve has seen your ad for some sneakers, right? And he's clicked on your ad, and he's on your store, and he's picked the size, he's picked the color that he wants, and he's about to hit add to cart, and then Steve gets distracted, or he gets a phone call, or his kids want him to play in the garden, or he needs to go out, or whatever, right? But he doesn't complete that purchase, but he has clicked on your ad. Okay, in that scenario, you may well pause that ad, right? Because that ad, if Steve doesn't come back and make the purchase until the following day, that ad may well have spent a certain amount of money, hasn't got any other purchases, Steve hasn't made his purchase yet, and so it looks like a bad ad that spent $8 without a return. Okay, and we have no way of knowing whether it's a bad ad, or whether it's a bad ad because we're waiting on a purchase. And so what can happen then? If Steve now makes his purchase, Facebook will report that purchase and it will apply it to your ad set that's now paused. Okay, so actually it's a really good ad set because it's got this purchase and it's got a great return on ad spend, but it's in a paused state. And so what this rule does is it looks for any ad sets that you've got in your ad account that's had a purchase reported late like this, right? And it happens more often than you would think, and it reactivates it. Okay, so if it's in a paused state, it goes, it's all good, right? It's in a paused state, but it's got a return on ad spend of better than 2.5 in this case. And again, you can tweak it to whatever you like, but we use the same number as the other rule before, right? It will reactivate it. And now that good ad that wasn't making you money because it's paused is now turned on again and is making you money, right? And so that's the point. So that's the 5th rule. And so we got this narrowed down to just 5 rules. Okay, and it's as simple as this to add them to your ad account. So remember, we went to the rule library and we've put it as the very first one, this e-commerce quick start rules, okay? And what you can do, you can literally sign up for TrustAds, or if you've already got TrustAds, just go into your account and you can say add all rules, right? You pick that one, you go add all rules, okay, and go next. And then what you can do is you can just pick what ad accounts, right? It can be one ad account or multiple ad accounts like that, right? So in this case, it'd be adding the rule to like all of these different ad accounts, okay? And you can just go, you can fine tune your settings if you want, right? If you want to tweak this to 2.6 or 4 or whatever, right? You can change those numbers. It shows you exactly which rule we're talking about. And again, you can just pick whatever ad account you want to add it to, and you can make your tweaks. You can, all the way along, you can just make these tweaks. Right, you're just picking whatever ad account it is and then hit save. Okay, I'm not going to hit save because I don't want to add these to my actual ad account, but it's as simple as that. You hit save and now these rules are live in your account protecting you, and then you can observe how straight away your costs are going to reduce because those bad ad sets are being paused quicker whilst they've spent less money, and your good ads are being left to flourish. All right, and so that's how quickly you can do that using these quick start rules. All right, so going back to the presentation, That's how we do it with TrustAds. That's how we do it automatically. We've already gone through the logic. Technically, you can do that manually if you're being super vigilant and you've changed yourself to the desk and you're watching your ads and you're refreshing and you're going, oh, that one's out of scope, pause it, and so on. But the principle applies, right? This is how we can scale our good ads, right, again and again and again, safely, to compound our profit, to increase our profit over and over. Because, as I said, screenshot this, right? This is so important to running ads at scale successfully on Facebook, right? Is if you can automatically detect and pause your bad, unprofitable ads quickly, then your remaining good ads will ensure you win more profit, right? Because there's only those good ads left. All right, so I hope that makes sense. TrustAds.io is the domain name you want to go to. There's a free trial, so you can try it out for 7 days, which you've seen it takes about 10 seconds to add those rules to your account anyway, so you can be up and running very, very quickly indeed. If you need any further assistance, we've got training libraries, we've got account managers, we've got a Facebook group, we've got other rules in the rules library. Of course, you've got access to me through these calls, these live trainings that we do every 2 weeks. So there's a lot of support for you as well. And yeah, I mean, this is the way. I wish it was more complicated, right? So it seems really sophisticated, but really it's success just comes from doing the right thing consistently, right? So you do the right thing and you do it over and over again, with discipline, religiously. And when you try and get a human to do that for you, the human often fails because the human has life to live, right? The human takes holidays, the human sleeps, the human takes lunch breaks. That's why I recommend using software to do it, because the software, TrustAds has one job, right? And that's to make decisions on your ad account that you've told it to do, right? And to just take action to do it consistently 24/7. And that's why we use software. So the bonus, which I completely told you about at the beginning, is this, which is my book, okay, which I've got right here. This was an advanced copy, just in case anyone's wondering, hey, you've got books already? 1% Secret. I cover over 300 pages. I think there's about 50 chapters covering scaling, covering so sales, scaling, profit, team, hiring, just so much stuff, right? It genuinely is my best work. I do highly recommend you pick up a copy. The book itself is free. The shipping is like $7. Okay, these books alone cost I think $4 at scale. If I buy lots at the same time, I think it costs me about $4 per book to print. And of course, it's going to cost me more than the remaining $3 or something to ship it to you wherever you are, even if you're in the UK, frankly, because even down the road, it's going to cost me a few bucks. So I'm not doing it to be rich. I'm doing it to get the word out. I want to get some copies out there so that I can get some feedback, so that I can get some traction on that, and then I will start charging, and it'll be on Amazon for $20 or something. So that's pretty much my presentation there. Obviously, we are going to get the Snapchat guys in at some point soon to give value there. But I'm going to open up at this point to any more questions that you guys might have. Let me know, did that training make sense? Is there anything you want me to go over again? Have you got other questions that you want to ask? We've got 10 minutes, so fire away in the question box.